Hey, this is Ishar, and in today's talk, I'd like to go over a technique that I teach in my book, Practical Ways to Increase Your Confidence, which is now on Audible and Kindle. Now, this is a great exercise that you can do before going into any public setting or venue. And this technique is called Assuming the Crown. Now, before I go over the specific technique, I'd like to go over a visualization with you to get a good understanding of what the mindset is like behind this technique. So take a moment and close your eyes. And now imagine that it is your birthday and you've decided to throw yourself a birthday party at your house. Because you're feeling pretty festive at the moment, you invite not only your close friends, but a lot of casual acquaintances as well. You want this to be a night of celebration. Now, on the night of your party, you notice that every guest that comes in gives you a warm hug and a welcoming smile. And as more people start to trickle in throughout the night, you notice an increased level of respect given to you as you are the host of this party. Many people that have attended tonight have come specifically to see you, and the party is thrown at your house. So you also act with more authority. So you feel comfortable engaging with people that you haven't met before, such as introducing yourself to a friend of a casual acquaintance that you may not know, or also calling out people that may have been misbehaving at your party and addressing those behaviors. You also feel very comfortable dismissing them from your party if they are acting in a very disrespectful manner. Generally speaking, your night is getting better as more people start to come in and people are having a good time. And you also generally walk around with a general ease of being. You know that you can confidently walk up to anyone and speak with them, and your body language is open and relaxed. In this moment, you are the king or queen of your domain. So I want you now to open your eyes and simply notice how you felt during that visualization. You probably felt a bit more relaxed, more confident, and more assertive. In that visualization, you were acting like a leader or a king or queen of that specific environment. So, in this case, your birthday party. And in those situations, we may feel very comfortable to act like a higher status person. However, we often don't think about how we're conveying ourselves in other situations. So, unless you take a lot of time working on self improvement or noticing how you conduct yourself in different situations, then you may be oblivious on how you act in different situations. Now, a lot of actors tend to study and play with this, and a lot of public speakers also study this in depth, but you may not notice what your natural set point is in terms of being the leader in a room versus someone who plays a follower. Now, it's not important that you have to be acting in a high status position all the time, like what many self development and confidence videos ask you to be, because I can actually think of a lot of different scenarios in which it would actually be more beneficial to keep yourself out of the spotlight and play more of a passive role, such as if you were pulled over by a police officer, it's actually better to be a bit more deferential. However, most of us aren't very aware of how we're acting. whether it be more towards a lower status way of behaving compared to a higher status way of being. Now, it's good to have choice in the matter because we can choose how we show up. Because there are many situations in which acting like more of a leader or more of a king or queen in that regard can actually be very beneficial for us. For example, when we act a bit more openly and confidently, we may gain more attention and trust from other people. We also receive more job opportunities and more social opportunities and other things just from acting in a higher status way of being. Now, before going into the specific technique, I'd like to point out that this should be taken in a playful and fun manner. So this shouldn't be used to try to bully others or try to boss other people around like an evil king like Joffrey from the Game of Thrones, but rather you want to come from the frame or viewpoint in which you are a friendly and well-respected leader and charismatic leader. So many people will like you because you're warm, friendly, yet at the same time upright, assertive, and at ease with the environment. So when you adopt this sort of mindset, this will actually change the way other people view you and how you interact with others. Because you're not coming from a point of view in which you are trying to control others or dominate others, but rather you're just acting in a more higher status way of being, which is also very respectable and also warm and friendly at the same time. And if you really think about it, a lot of the heroes that we have or people that you may have looked up to also share these traits in common, such as standing upright, being proactive rather than reactive, being confident, being assertive, being more open in their body language, and these are just a few examples. So the way this technique is done is that before going to an environment such as a coffee shop or a mall, what you can do is imagine that there is a crown on top of your head. And imagine that you are now the king or queen of that environment. Now, if you don't like that terminology, you can just think of yourself as the manager or the owner of that particular venue. So, for example, if you're going to a Starbucks, you can pretend, and notice how I said pretend, so this should be done in a very playful manner, that you are the owner of that Starbucks. And when you imagine that there's a crown in your head, or you imagine to be in that role of being that owner, think about how you'd walk in to that venue. So when I've personally done this exercise of imagining that there's a crown on top of my head, or imagining that I'm the owner of that venue, I'll typically walk in with a bit more confidence. I will also be more proactive socially. So I'll tend to say hi to people in line. I will also say hi to the barista and make small talk. And I'll generally be a bit more open in my body language and communication. And when I've done this exercise in different environments in which it's more social, I'll actually find myself playing more of that leader role and introducing other people to each other. Now, this would be very different from the behaviors I would naturally do if I was playing more of a follower type role or a role in which I would not try to look for attention. So you can see that actually playing this role can be quite fun and can actually give you more opportunities. And you can still act in a very high status manner when doing these exercises, but you can also include and infuse these qualities of playfulness and friendliness and warmth while being upright in your posture and your speech. So some things to think about when doing this exercise is how would a warm, charismatic king or queen or owner or manager behave and act in that environment? Would they be proactive or reactive? Will their body language be open or would it be closed? Would they feel comfortable and at ease in their environment, or would they be a bit more fearful and closed off? So when you actually start to do these exercises, you'll be very surprised how your life really changes when doing this. Because you'll adopt these new ways of being and behaving, and as a result, people also view you differently as well. Because oftentimes people will only respond and react to the behaviors that you're putting out. And if you're very used to playing more of a timid personality or being more shy or unassertive, then you'd be pleasantly surprised to see how your life will transform by adopting some of these more confident behaviors. So you'll notice that people will start to trust you a bit more. People will tend to reach out to you more, give you more opportunities, and your connections will also improve and expand as well. And of course, there will always be those few people in an environment that will see the increased attention that you're receiving as a threat. So they may confront you. But again, this is why it's important to come from more of a frame of collaboration and friendliness and warmth rather than trying to battle or dominate others, like what many confidence videos will tend to say. And you'll find that when you do this, then really the tension will dissolve pretty soon and people will simply be at ease. And you also shouldn't be worried about what some random people will think about you either. So I hope you liked this exercise on assuming the crown. So I'd like for you to try this exercise out. So the next public venue that you go to, whether it be your gym or a coffee shop or your local grocery store, just make sure that you don't do it at work right away, just because you want to practice these skills of reading social cues in a proper way, in a mindful way, without, risking your job. I don't want you to do that. But go to these venues and practice assuming the crown and acting like you're a charismatic and warm, friendly leader, and see how your life changes as a result. So let me know in the comments once you've tried this exercise on how your social interactions have changed since adopting this technique. Thank you.